Could we please come to order for the May meeting of the Beachside Redevelopment Advisory Board? Welcome, everyone. If anyone here so far is interested in participating later on in the meeting, there are forms that we'd like you to fill out, just a name, rank, and serial number. We'd like, I think, the public to speak on agenda items. That's, I think, the primary purpose for this. But if you have anything you'd like to share with the board, I'm sure my colleagues and I are interested in your comments. Could we have the call to order, please?
Roll call.
Yes.
Dino Velasquez.
You got it.
Robert Ellis.
Here.
Gary Libby.
Here.
Teresa Doan.
Here.
Krista Goodrich.
Here.
Tony Servance.
Present.
I'd like to ask Dino if he would lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, we've got copies of our minutes from our last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections anyone would like to raise on this?
The only, it's just a, should I still be signing this, or should you be signing it now?
I think I'm going to have to sign this one.
Okay, because it says Dina Pasquale.
Yeah, I'll-
So just cross out my name and put your name, and then that would be my correction.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, yes. Anyone else, any other comments on the minutes? Hearing no additions or corrections, the chair would like to hear a motion to accept the minutes.
Move for approval?
Moved by Mr. Paspalakis, seconded by Teresa Doan. All those in favor, please do so by saying aye. Aye. Okay, that was wonderful. Presentations, I guess. No. Yes, presentations.
Well, since Mr. Chairman, do you want to recognize the police officer?
Yes, yeah, I guess while we're waiting for the city manager, let's have our police report up front. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Okay, I'm going to give you the recent report that actually just came out yesterday. So just as a reminder, the percentages that I read off are where we are at this year compared to this time last year. And I'll give you a brief update on some of the special events in the city. So the total burglaries compared to last year at this time of the year are down by 11%. The total larcenies are down by 4%. The total robberies are down by 30%. The total aggravated assaults and batteries are down by 48%. Last year, this was really the Achilles heel. So this is great to see that this has dropped precipitously. The total sexual batteries, those are up by 200%. That sounds like a lot. Last year there was 1 at this time, and this year there's 3. So the total Part 1 crimes, this is an important number for us. It's the aggregate of all the Part 1 crimes, so we can see how we're doing district-wide, is down by 13%, which is really great to see. The yearly goal was 10%, to be down by 10%, so it's nice to see that we have hit that, and let's just hope that we can stay below that. The total calls for service did reduce by 8%. So a couple weekends ago, we had the Orange Crush event that was, that's what started up in Georgia. They tried to move it to Florida. It's one of those takeover style events. Glad to say that there was no traction. We had a lot of overtime mandated. We were able to send them home almost immediately on Friday, and we were able to cancel them entirely on Saturday and Sunday. This month, at the end of the month, May 28th, there's another takeover style event called Orlando Invades Daytona. Last year it was a pretty big mess for us. This year what we've done is we've canceled all days off at the police department, so we'll have the full department out and ready to address this event. We also are going to be working in partnership with Florida Highway Patrol, Volusia County Beach Patrol, Volusia County Sheriff's Office, and other agencies that are going to send mutual aid for that. Hopefully, and that's more of a daytime event because there are events planned for them in Orlando at nighttime. So hopefully we'll have a better handle on that this year. There's also the truck event in June 9th through the 12th. So the event was officially moved to Homestead, but social media indicates that there's a large group that will still be coming. So we do have a lot of overtime planned for that as well. So we'll just keeping an eyeball on that. Those are the major upcoming major events for the district. We do have a bill that was, last I was told, was on the governor's desk for the special events zones. So once that gets signed and our legal team can advise us how we can enforce it, that will help with these pop-up takeover special events to where we can have increased sanctions, we can tow vehicles more easily, we can address sound violations, and so that will be a very beneficial tool in our pocket when that gets signed and when that gets pushed down to us. So with that, I'll take any questions or concerns.
Comments or questions?
Well, I have a
Lisa?
statement.
On Orange Crush, did you, the police department, do anything to dissuade that group from coming?
So the sheriff and the police chief in Daytona Beach Shores had both sent out a letter telling them not to come to Daytona Beach, not to come to Volusia County. And they reached out to the promoter. The promoter got worried that he might get arrested. I believe it's the same promoter as the one in Georgia, and he had gotten arrested in Georgia 1 or 2 years ago. So that's one of the reasons he was trying to move out of Tybee Island and trying to move into Florida. He actually had 4 stops planned. One was in Jacksonville, 2 were in Miami, and 1 was in Daytona. And none of them, from what we found, really gained any traction at all. So that was great to see.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we saw you all assemble and.
Right. There was an event going on there, and everyone was worried, what's going on? I said, well, we're just here for your protection. So we'd rather have more and send them home than have not enough.
Prevention, yeah.
Yes.
Dino?
Yeah, well, first, thank you very much for doing that. In fact, Memorial Day weekend, the Friends of the Band show decided not to, they decided to honor the veterans on June the 4th instead of Memorial Weekend because it's just last year it became such an issue. I mean, the veterans couldn't even cross the bridge. I mean,
Right.
And then so we had to postpone the event, and we picked another day in June to do it. So this time around, we're doing it on June the 4th just to be safe. But hopefully you will succeed in
We'll see.
stopping the event from happening, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And whatever we could do to help support this passage of this bill, I mean, I'll go to the city commission meeting myself, you know?
Well, yeah, really, it's in the governor's office. So
Oh, it's
the
in the
impetus
governor's
is right at the state legislature. So, and that was really pushed forward from a lot of police leaders through the Police Chief Association, Sheriff's Association, to petition them that we need something to help combat this. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay, well, everyone have a great night.
Thank you very much. Presentations, Reed.
Right. At this time, the city manager will have to reschedule for next meeting if he can, and so we'll postpone that. And so with that, continue the agenda and go on to the next item, which is old business, if there's any.
Terrific, thank you.
If I Zoom from Greece, because that's where I'll be at the next meeting, it would be 1 a.m. at my time over there.
Yeah,
I
are
don't
you?
think I'll be doing that.
No. Okay.
On that point, I think we've had some applicants for open seats on this board, and I think there will be a city commission meeting. I don't know how fast the process can be, but I think there is a fast track on this board and one other board to get them filled. So maybe they won't be waking you up.
Okay, so I
in the
won't
middle
have
of
to.
waking you up in the middle of the night. Thank you.
Krista zoomed one time, I remember.
I did.
Yeah.
I think I zoomed twice.
From your car one time. Yeah. Any items of old business? Anything, Teresa, Krista, anything? Any old business items?
The only one this is something that's been brought up in the past, and I'll bring it up one more time. I'm not happy with the food truck situation and what's been going on. I mean, I had emailed everybody. I'm not sure if you were part of that email, but I think you were. But if not, I could forward it to you. The way, especially on the boardwalk at Oceanfront Park, we actually have an ordinance that's in place that prohibits the use of food trucks. And I guess during the cheerleader event, it came up, and I just personally, there's enough people with restaurants in that area where we don't have a shortage, and I don't think it's fair for the permanent business people in the area to have to deal with somebody just rolling up, and taking advantage of the situation. But anyways, that's just my little thing, and
Any other comments?
Well, just so it's on record, I'm going to have to disagree with you on the food trucks. I feel strongly that we should have them. And I'm also a merchant on the street, and the people in my business are constantly looking for food options. I've also found in other cities that we operate that when you create food truck areas, it creates a buzz and it brings locals in that don't normally come in. So just so it's on record, I do support that.
Yeah, I think there are ample examples in cities throughout Florida where they have worked very well, and several cities where they have not worked well at all. And so if we get into that business, I opt for the former rather than the latter, which would mean specified places for them, designated places for them.
Hey, Mr. Libby.
And I think because of, Tony,
I just wanted to say, I think the food trucks give residents and visitors the opportunity to have a variety. And I attend the food truck events out at the Tanger Outlet, and they're very successful. And I also attend the one that they have on Beach and Magnolia, and they're very successful. Friday, this past week, everybody in my office left at 5 o'clock, and we all met at the food trucks.
We did it as well for my office.
Huh?
We did the same thing at my
I
office.
mean, it was a time for us to have fun, and it was a time for us all to have a variety. We all sat at the table. I had slappies. Somebody else had ribs. Somebody had lobster and shrimp. It's fun. I mean,
well, personally, I believe that if if the businesses in the area want it, then that's fine. But if the businesses in the area don't, then they should be honored because they're the ones that are here year round. They're the ones with paying the taxes and everything like that. I mean, it's not fair for year-round businesses to have to compete with somebody on wheels. But if I'm not saying that you can't have it in front of your place if the people around you support it, but I think it should be a situation where the people, you shouldn't force a food truck upon an area that doesn't want it. But if if you're having an event and you want it, fine. Or you're far enough away from me to where that's no problem. Okay, but I don't think I should have to have a food truck forced upon me when I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't think it should be forced on your property. Like, I don't think she should be told she has to have
No,
one
I'm not
on her property.
I'm not talking about that. I specifically, when I talked about this, I said Oceanfront Park. Okay, all right. But anyways,
Okay, thank you. And of course, the issue really is not whether or not, it's how to regulate them and where they should go and the kind of licensing they're going to have to follow. I mean, there are all kinds of very heavy state laws. I never thought I would ever see the day when the Museum of Arts and Sciences would have food trucks for their openings of their major exhibits. And they tried it, and it brought a whole new audience into the museum, and they've had gangbuster visitation out there because of the food trucks. So it's a sword, you know, that
Like I
cuts
said,
many different ways, yeah.
If the people, if the businesses in that area.
There are no
want-
businesses out there
Okay,
that's
then-
helpful.
Then there's no problem,
Yeah.
okay? That's what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
is be sensitive to the people who are there year-round.
I think probably we're going to see coming down the pike, whether it's at this board because of geographic location or for other reasons, looking at the kind of regulations that make sense for businesses like that.
There's already a food truck ordinance.
Yeah,
There's already one that exists. So
Okay.
I don't see, unless there's changes to it, but there's already one that exists.
Does it designate what parts of the city food trucks can operate within? It does?
Yes,
As-
and it prohibits it in certain locations, and yeah, it's fairly detailed.
It's in most of the locations it prohibits are A1A, Main Street, ISB, Seabreeze, the places you'd actually want to see them.
And I thought
Okay.
the boardwalk was excluded.
I did too, you know.
No, what happened, like I said, on this particular instance, I emailed Mr. Morris and a couple others, but there is an ordinance in place that prohibits it from oceanfront park. So I'll forward it to you so you could have it, okay?
Yeah, I've looked at it. It's just been a while since I've looked at it to be able to say.
I had to find it, okay, but it was
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I think that's the issue, is the location of the food trucks.
Yeah.
The ordinance is great, but it has to be site-specific, and,
Yeah.
I think as long as we keep that in mind, it is the wave of the future. I mean, cities all throughout Florida now are utilizing food trucks, and they can provide a variety, as Tony said, that is so great and so unusual, well beyond what 3 or 4 restaurants could provide. Not that you wouldn't go to the Italian restaurant for the Italian food and the Greek restaurant for the pastizo, you know, not negating any of that, but it's the future. And I'm glad we have an ordinance, and I hope we will work on, you know, locations to try and make everybody happy and participate in some new technology as we move forward. Any other items of old business? Hearing none, let's move on to new business. And Reed, we have an introduction.
Yes, we're passing the torch tonight, from one redevelopment director to another. I think I distributed the information about Mr. Thomas. Ken Thomas is sitting in my chair. There's 120 volts underneath that chair.
And a whoopee cushion.
But I think you'll find that you have a very, very competent redevelopment director who can, not that I wasn't, but that,
Also competent.
but I'm definitely at that age when it's time to get out of the way and let somebody younger, more energetic, and full of experience to come here to Daytona Beach and demonstrate the creativity, the ideas, and the things that he's done in other parts of Florida. He's done it for many years. I won't go into all the details. I'd like him to go ahead and introduce himself, if that's okay, and take it from there. And I'm going to sign off.
And Reed, before you sign off, I think I represent all of the members of this board and members of previous boards in both redevelopment area and other parts of the city that have worked with you over the years. And I want to thank you very much for your dedication to the city. You're a I was going to say a tough opponent, but you're also a tough compatriot, and you'll be missed, Reed. And I hope we can call on you from time to time, and you will be available as a citizen to also help the city move forward.
Yes, I'll be in disguise, but I will be around.
Yeah, no, thank you. You were the first friendly face when I first moved onto Main Street, and you know how nervous I was about that doing that. And you were super helpful and just made it, you were just great. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
Thank you for the comments.
You know, Alfred Lord Tennyson, the old order dieth, giving rise to new, and God fulfills himself in many ways. And I think that's very appropriate here. But thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And I really appreciate everything in the past, and you do definitely have musical knowledge, and you know, I hope to see you I hope you volunteer for the Friends of the Band Show. We need your kind, you know. But yeah, feel free to come anytime you want, and we'll always have a chair for you and your wife.
Appreciate it. I'm always going to come over for the entertainment, and my last days are going to be around that Memorial Day, so I'll be partaking as.
And you are going to stay in town. You're going to continue
stay
to
in
live
town.
here.
Yes, sir, and I will be here, and my family, and I will at some point volunteer. Right now, we're going to hit the road for part of the summer, and once we reconnect, and we'll refresh and come back and make some decisions about what we do next. But part of that would be giving back in some way to the community that we've been in for so many years and given back to us. So thank you. All right.
Ken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ken Thomas. Got some big shoes to fill. Reed hasn't been able to get anything done since I've been here over a week because I've inundated his office. I walked around with him. I don't even think the guy can go to the bathroom by himself. But it's an honor to be here. Just a little bit about myself. Undergrad at Bethune-Cookman, master's over at UCF. I am the incoming president of the Florida Redevelopment Association. And we're having the annual conference here in October. I teach a class as part of the FRA certification. I teach a class in housing. And we're getting ready to roll out a class of gentrification that I'll be one of the instructors. But redevelopment is my pride and joy. I love redevelopment. I eat and sleep redevelopment. Been doing it for quite some time. But I anticipate over the next month or so meeting with each and one of you all individually because I want to get your flavor of what you feel and what you would like to see as it relates to redevelopment of the Beachside. A lot of opportunities. I think it's a gold mine, really honestly, great place here. And I just hope to be able to, as I told Reed today, he's laid a great frame, a great road for me to walk through, and I hope to do half of the job he's done here for the city of Daytona.
Here, here. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Okay.
Welcome and glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other business? We've got staff reports. Read anything hanging out there?
This works. Start singing. Hello.
No, we're
Okay.
going to have public participation.
Wait, read.
Yeah, read first.
You do have the list of projects, I believe.
Yes.
In your packet, and if there's any questions, we can always relay those if we don't have the answers back to Public Works that puts that list together of some of the things that they're doing.
Okay, any comments, questions for Reed? Hearing none. Thank you, Reed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to public comments, and I would like John Nicholson to come forward. John, what we're going to try, if he's here, what we're going to try and do is have public comments primarily centered around agenda items, because I think as we move forward, we're going to have increased number of things on our agenda, and we certainly want the public to participate, but there are certain things that we cannot affect because they really are not the business of this board, like the Department of Transportation, some of the problems with some of the roadways and things. Not that we don't welcome your comments.
So you say you have no interest whatsoever in the
I
Main
didn't-
Street area and what's going on?
No, I didn't say I have
Because that's
no
what I
interest.
brought forward is they're planning on redoing 5 streets inside the CRA area.
Yes.
And you said you have no interest in it because it's not on
No,
your
I
agenda.
did not. No, John,
Okay,
let's not.
then be clear.
John, let's not start out in an argumentative way.
You
I'm
just
saying that public comments on this agenda are usually centered around items that we are discussing, that the board is discussing. We're very interested in public participation. But I have noticed, as a new member of this board, and as a member of Economic Development and its chair for 2 terms, Florida Arts Council, several county boards, that the public is very important as we're making decisions and as we're sort of shaping areas in which to go, and we're very interested in hearing about that. I did not say we're not going to entertain any other comments, but I think I'm sharing with you that there's plenty of stuff that we need public responses from that are agenda related. That's all. Nobody's going to ever, I don't ever want to stop anybody
Are
from
you talking
participating.
about your huge agenda here, all these items to discuss?
If you would listen
I am.
carefully,
Very carefully.
I said our future agendas are going to be.
But tonight, you don't want any other discussion except
did
on the
not-
agenda.
John, I did not say that. I said what I said, and it's
I
on
know
the
what you
record,
said.
and that'll be it.
And I know who you talked to.
No, I have not talked to anybody about this. I have been chair
I'm not
of several of these committees in the past, and we're very interested in public comment, but not on things we really have little or no control over. Although you have been granted that privilege at every meeting that you've attended that I've been at here at this forum.
For 35 years, yes.
So please
And
proceed.
this is the first time I've been told that we could not address the CRA area.
No, I'm very sorry. What
That's
I'd
the way
like
it
you to
came
do is
across.
review the minutes when they're printed, and you'll see that was not the intention. And
Okay.
I was a debater in high school and in college, and I
was
know
I.
that
It's
I know the
frightening.
techniques that are used to move
Yes.
off a subject by bringing up another area. And let's not go there. Let's start off in a nice positive way. You were called first. You have the floor.
And then you attacked me first. So I would just, Gary, you didn't have to say that. You could have said that at a different time.
No. What I said goes for everyone, John. It wasn't
I
aimed at you.
absolutely understand
I hate to tell you that there are other people who are involved in city government other than John Nicholson.
However, since this is the second time you've brought that up in 2 weeks, I have a little inkling that it might have been aimed at me. So, let's
No,
do
I don't
this
think it was.
3 minutes.
It was not aimed at you, and you have the floor.
Friedberger, was it your first meeting? I'm at your last. Glad you were here. Wish you could have done more. Secondly, there's one thing left undone. Okay, the kiosk, one of A1A. We wanted it digitized. At some point, could you kind of pass it on? All right.
Yes, sir.
We haven't a project manager, Reed. It's been 15 years, I think, since David was fired. That is another unfinished project. There is supposed to be a remake of Main Street. I know, Gary, we don't want to hear about it, but they want to make Main Street look like Beach Street. White pavers, the whole 9 yards.
Who's they, John?
The city of Daytona Beach.
Okay.
They're committing, I think, was it $8 million, Reed, to redoing Main Street? But anyway, all the red brick goes, it'll look like Beach Street. I don't think it's a good idea. It's not a good look. I think you should be involved, and you should at least see it before it's done. I know, Gary, you don't agree.
No,
but I really believe that you all should be more active in what goes on in the Main Street area. Corbin Building. Again, I don't remember it coming before you. The city's in the process of purchasing it. I think you all should have been apprised of it, and it should have been discussed here at this meeting. Food trucks, we went through that. 250 feet either side of Main Street, half city block. We discussed it for 4 months. It may or may not be good. You do know there's 13 restaurants on Main Street. 3 of them are functioning, rest are not. So it's a touchy subject. And lastly, city manager was supposed to come here because the Midtown Board has been asking more and more and more and more things to be able to do, more things to be involved with, more information given to them. So when he comes before you, I'm asking you to ask whatever is in your little old heart, whatever you think is going to be beneficial to the city and to the beachside. I'm asking you to ask at that time. It's not a time to be shy. We went for 15 years losing more and more and more clout, more and more ability to shape what's happening on the beachside. I think you should gain that back, at least what you had 14 years ago.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got some comments at the end of public participation. I'm going to turn the gavel over to my vice chairman and speak, John, to many of the issues that you raised, because I think they are cogent and important. But we'd like to hear from Jared Hoffpauk. Did I get that right? Hoffpower. Good evening.
Hi, Jared Hoffpower, the 508 Ribald. I'm close to I live close to the area, but not quite there. But we go there often. Love to see it continue to make great progress. It's been great progress here in since we've been here about a year. I've seen a lot of progress there. I just wanted, you guys brought up food trucks. I've seen food trucks, food pods, and that business throughout the entire nation. We moved here from Portland, Oregon. That's sort of, I guess, it wasn't where it started, but it's where they made it amazing for the community. If anyone has issues with food trucks or sees a really good opportunity for food trucks in and around the redevelopment zone, I'd love to talk to you about it. Just as I've seen thousands of them, I guess, at this point, and again, all over the nation. But we do have some things in the works to bring some interesting things to do with food trucks to Daytona and Daytona Beach. But they can really be a fabulous asset for the community, including restaurants. In Portland, they cultivated a feeling of that if you were just excited about food, if you wanted to start your own business, you could be a line cook that had a good recipe. You could be someone fresh out of culinary school. You could literally go start your food business for less than $3,000. I mean, that's a really low entry point and something you just can't find everywhere. But that situation was cultivated over a long time. So I'd love to see some of that cultivated here, and especially work with some of the culinary programs we have at Mainland, at Daytona State. I guess Bethune-Cookman used to have a culinary program. Maybe they'll bring that back, but we can foster that kind of an environment here. And then those people, then they go on to open up brick and mortar stores. So anyway, if anybody has any of those thoughts with that, I would love to talk to you after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ann Ventura. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity of being here, not listening to Reed Leaf because it hurts, but welcoming Mr. Thomas. Thank you. We're recent owners also of the End over there on International 321 and other properties around. I'm a very, very, very beach person, means going to the boardwalk is very important. So I'm in here in hopes that issues get a little bit better, that we beautify the area, that we use monies that are around to put flowers and and things like that. So I will be coming and sharing. one of my best things that I have seen in this town is Nancy Kiefer's beautiful truck, 4 times a year, I believe, in the middle of the community. All the neighbors, we all go, the dogs and everybody. It's the most beautiful thing. But the way she did it too. But then again, it's the shores, I have to say. I'm a resident of all. We own properties. I brought a client over, one of my best friends from back home, what used to be back home, South Beach, and it was, that's why I'm here, making sure it doesn't happen. He has to move. He had many, many apartments also on South Beach, and he's trying to purchase a property here on Seabreeze. And last night he left without me, and saw what really happened around here at night. In the morning, I took him back and I said, we've done this before. Don't kid yourself. It's going to be okay if you guys help us. And that's all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And is it Marquis?
Carolyn Markey.
Carolyn Marquis, pardon me. Welcome.
Hi. My name is Carolyn Markey. I live at 2700 North Atlantic Ave in Daytona Beach. I'm here tonight as a citizen. I also do work for the police department. I just want to make sure you understand that. But one of the things I just wanted to mention while I'm here is, as a resident here, I understand the whole Main Street thing and the struggles, and it breaks my heart every time I drive to work and I'm going down there, and the potential that it could be. There's some really good programs out there. There's especially some historical preservation grants and funding opportunities. I'm sure you'll be looking at that, and Reed and I have had long discussions about this program. Right now, there's a big conference coming up in DeLand that's hosting the whole state's Main Street opportunities, and I also own a tap house and a restaurant not too far from here. And I used to have a big brewery and restaurant. So one of the things as I look at the lay of the land here and try and figure out, do we keep that business here? Do we maybe go into another whole different industry with COVID and things? I'm hoping to see under the redevelopment umbrella maybe some very specific small business information for starting a new business, on the permitting process, especially for the food trucks and things of that nature. And I understand you said there's an ordinance already on the books. I want to make sure that if there's a canteen requirement, is it in conjunction with our health department or not? I really couldn't find any information on that. So I was very excited to see that you guys are discussing that as a town. But as a restaurant owner, it is a very fine line to balance on how they can complement your restaurant industry and as opposed to make it a struggle. The other thing I just wanted to mention was that it's very exciting to see all the redevelopment that's already gone on. I guess, Reed, you've been very busy. One of the things that made us choose this town over Tampa was the huge potential of development that's going on in a very smart way, instead of, not doing the right studies, not doing the right hearings and public comment. You guys, I really want to thank you for, as I've sat back and just watched over the last six months that I've been here, you guys have really taken, I think, the time and due diligence to address a lot of these projects. And I know it can be overwhelming at times, and I know we're all short-staffed, but I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is this Edie May? Is that the last one here?
Edie.
Well, I can't.
Juanita.
Oh, this is Juanita. Oh.
Wait. Don't say it like, oh, it's Juanita.
Commissioner May.
Let's not do that to me.
Commissioner
Good evening,
Juanita May.
Good evening, everybody. I am City Commissioner Juanita May, and I represent Zone 3 in Daytona Beach. My address is 944 South Peninsula. I live on Beachside. So the reason I'm here this evening is that I know all of you as individuals, as business owners on Beachside. I've met all of you. I've spoken with you. And what I always request from all of the boards, but I don't receive, is this. All I want is a bullet point of where you're heading. We even at commission, we have discussion on things, but if I had an understanding as your commissioner who represents the beachside area, especially the business district, it would be a huge help to me as positions come forward. So I'm hoping that I can get something, whatever that is. Either the redevelopment person gives me the highlights, and I don't mean the agenda. I mean, at the end, a nice little summary of this is where we're heading. I personally appreciated this. I loved your update, and I wish that at commission, we could have an update for our zones of what is going on in terms of public works, so each commissioner can clearly see the work that's been done in a certain period of time. And then if you have any questions for me or any concerns for me, feel free to ask me at this time.
Thank you very much. I think maybe after members of the board have an opportunity to speak, we'd love you to stay with us for a while because you are our commissioner.
Yes. So thank you so much, and I'm always, I serve at your pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, those are all we have. Anyone else interested in addressing the commission? Hearing none, we will go on to board comments. And I think if it's all right with you, I don't have to give up the seat in order to make.
No, that's the purpose of
I'll
that's
do
the
it under
purpose
my
of the board comments.
I'll do it under my board comments. Okay. So I would like to hear from, we'll start over here with Teresa Doan, former chairman of the Main Street Redevelopment Board. Okay.
I just wanted to say I thought Jeep Beach was an amazing success again, and I learned during Jeep Beach that it is not a city-sanctioned event. I think that's a travesty for our city. We should welcome them. We should do what we can to support Jeep Beach and promote that just as much as we do Bike Week and other major events, and I hope we can get behind that.
Okay.
I thought Juanita had recommended that it become one of the special events.
Oh, look, we agree.
There we go. Am I on here?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, I can tell. I mean, I agree with that. I think Jeep Beach should be a sanctioned event for us. Yeah, that was a great event. Great for families and everything, too. It's good seeing kids on the street, even as it gets dark, wandering around safe, having fun. I'm glad we're finally starting to have a dialogue on where we move here, and I hope to have more.
Terrific. Dino?
Well, I just want to say thank you, guys. I got a feeling that since I'm going to be in Greece next month, that this will probably be the last meeting that I'll be sitting here. So it's been a pleasure, working with you guys. Reed, has really been a pleasure, working with you too. And I wish you the best. And I don't think I could retire ever, but good luck to you for retiring. And welcome, okay? And that's all I have to say.
He's Greek.
Yeah,
Never retire.
I'm going to be dying over there at the arcade. But anyways, all right.
Thank you. In many ways, John, your comments were prophetic because I have some comments to make that really dovetail with some of your plaintive remarks. One of our problems is today, this board does not have the ammunition that it had many years ago. And what I mean by that is that our mission has been altered with the addition of our hearing zoning cases and more technical considerations. And we're sitting on two documents, really three documents, that took us Teresa, 5 years from beginning to end to develop the Main Street redevelopment plan, the South Atlantic redevelopment plan, and the entertainment or E-zone plan. But you could tell from my early interactions with our attorney that we have a major difference of opinion on what kinds of authorities we have. The Jeep Beach is a perfect example of the fact that we are not allowed currently to sponsor programs, but yet all of the other redevelopment areas can sponsor programs. As a matter of fact, the the market, the farmer's market, is written into the mission of the Downtown Redevelopment Board. But we have the Ocean Center and a new Peabody Auditorium about to come online, but yet we, so far, have not been able to see a process that would allow us to sponsor events like not it, but like that. And to me, we're sitting on the two gold mine buildings, the Ocean Center and Peabody Auditorium, and I would very much like our new development director to read the very unique differences that exist in the language defining the redevelopment boards, right as to terms of office. Some of the boards can serve more terms than we can serve. They have powers in downtown, and I think my colleagues in Midtown are very interested in becoming a little more proactive. And this board used to be very proactive when we were on it years ago. When we did programs, we got involved in a lot more than we do now. And we don't even get, we're not even noticed when the city moves forward on projects like the purchase of a major piece of building on Main Street, which I think we discussed, this board is in favor of, but I was a little perplexed that I heard about it on the radio and saw it in the newspaper, but yet the Main Street Redevelopment Board wasn't really even informed in an email. And I thought that was somewhat puzzling for me, but it does comport with our, for example, staff attorneys thinking of what kind of a board we should be. And my dear friend, new development director, when we meet, I'm going to try and suggest that you have a powerhouse board here capable with brain power and experience and new ideas, but yet the structure that we're working under right now, if we defer to the Land Development Code, which defines our new authority, that is to start the ball rolling on zoning changes. But the attorney and I have had a very lively, friendly difference of opinion, and it's come down to Mr. Yeager's, the city attorney, suggesting that we can, if we want, if a motion can be made, we can move forward in any one of a number of directions that are reflected in the current plans. But yet, I feel very awkward that our mission does not embrace that it's like a special dispensation. This board used to do an awful lot of more hands-on work in the Main Street redevelopment area. It wouldn't look as good as it does now had it not been for early work by the Main Street Redevelopment Board.
What program, refresh my memory, what programs did we do, and what do you mean by sponsor?
Well, we had direct access to the Community Redevelopment Authority, the CRA, the City Commission, with things we'd like to see happen on Main Street, like the kiosks that were wayfaring devices that allowed people to see where businesses were located. Some of the new lighting, the parking. We had how many rented lots? 7 rented spaces from private owners where the land had been developed under the cost of the city. And we have how many now? 0 or 1 potential. So there are a number of, there's a different shape that has been given to this board that suggests that our moving into sponsorship, let's say we wanted to do a Southeastern Regional Gospel Sing at the Ocean Center and Peabody Auditorium, something I was working with Bethune-Cookman on several years ago when I was at the Museum of Arts and Sciences, and we started it. We had several events in Daytona Beach, but with the Ocean Center and Peabody, we are perfectly poised to take advantage of all kinds of audiences and areas in the arts that no entrepreneurs that I know of are capable of or haven't done. Although we have had the great dinosaur exhibit in the Ocean Center, but that was a private individual. So I feel a little hamstrung that when I look at the plans, I know three things. One, we need to go through the Main Street and the South Atlantic and the E-zone plan and eliminate the items that the city feels we've addressed. Peabody's a good example with the $1.5 million we're going to spend on Peabody. So we need to review it. Then we need to revise our plans. Our plans are 10 and 12 years old. The economy has changed, the city has changed, the population has changed, the dynamics of tourism in our area have changed. I sat on the Tourist Development Commission board for years, and we marketed all the way up and down the I-4 corridor. And things are different now. And our plan, as good as it is, we need to eliminate things that are no longer even possible to do, eliminate things we've already done, like the new water and the new water lines over to the beach and some of the new waste treatment sensitivity we have, the increased power on the beach side. But, I sat in the audience and heard Bill Chapin, a very distinguished architect from Ormond Beach, who's done a lot of work in Daytona Beach, came up with a very interesting, fabulous plan to redevelop our beachside, change some of the streets, free up some property, a very revolutionary way to make Daytona Beach, not just in the signage, but in reality. And we had no process, no way of it wasn't presented to this board, although we're the redevelopment board for the beachside, and we had no way of bringing it forward either. So I think there are some revisions that need to be made, and I think there are new elements that must go into our redevelopment plan. I think we are missing the boat. This discussion about food trucks and other hot button items that have popped up in the past they're there. We need to address them. When the policeman was here, I was very pleased to hear the facts on crime going up and down. But when I've spoken to people in this community, and I'm 45 years here and was the former director of the Museum of Arts and Sciences, I've served on maybe 5 boards, city boards, chaired the Economic Development Board when we did tax abatement and all kinds of revolutionary things that help move our city forward. We're missing the boat because we haven't kept up with the times. And one of the wonderful things about your resume, Mr. Development Manager, is you seem to have kept up with the times. And I'm looking forward to our discussion and discussions you can bring to this board that will move us forward. So our plan, the 3 plans, which Mr. Yeager tells me are still on the table and very much in effect, we haven't been able to use them. We haven't been able to, for how many months, Reed, did I try and get you to pick the top 10 items in those 3 plans and bring them to us as something that we could tackle? We skirted a little with the Historic Preservation Advisory Board when Peabody's naming came up. That was done for a couple of very practical reasons, grant writing and some other reasons, but we don't have 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 buildings. We have over 30 buildings in the city that are either National Register or are in our locally designated areas. And these are the buildings that we don't want to tear down, that we want to renovate. We want to adaptively reuse them. And I didn't see the word adaptive reuse anywhere in our plan, and I refreshed them. I'm using a magnifying glass because I've had some surgery on both eyes last week, but I was able to read through the plans again. So I think, Mr. Manager, if anything, I would look at those plans, and I think when you read them, you'll realize that they are outdated, and there are huge opportunities right in front of us that are not incorporated into that plan. And we shouldn't have to dream up and bring to this board and try and pass it on this board. We have no way to get to the city commission, like my friends on the other side of the river. They didn't either. Now they can present to the CRA. And I think this board has to be in a position to have a streamlined, effective, new Main Street, South Atlantic, and E-zone plan, because the needs are greater today than they ever were 10 years ago if we're going to continue to be competitive and move up in the competition. My work with the Chamber and the Tourist Development Commission tells me we're missing a lot of activities. Maybe some people don't like the Orange Crush thing, but there are 25 other major things that we are now able to handle that this board can't discuss. I mean, we could pass a motion and get something. I've done that. We've tried that. We've done that, and we're still sort of waiting to hear what the outcome is. I believe in charter government. I really do. That's why I have volunteered my entire professional career here with the city as well as with the county and with the state. I'm the last person from Volusia County to serve on the State Arts Council. And I am very much a champion of charter government. And charter government, as you know, relies on advisory boards appointed by the commission. Everyone up here has been appointed by our city commission. We're not just sitting here for the hell of it. I mean, and I feel somewhat hamstruck and have been a little that we haven't been able to move forward on new signage in the redevelopment area, new street signs, little things that name it as a historic district. We've got National Register properties other than Peabody in that area. We haven't done anything to value up our resources, and they're right there in front of us. And I think if we have some modest amendments or changes or revisits, Mr. Yeager tells me that the 3 plans are still in effect. But the Land Development Code only mentions our quasi-judicial position on zoning. We start the ball rolling on rezoning. What happened to everything in the middle? And I think it needs to be. Mr. Nicholson was making this point in a slightly different way from a member of a very conscious, always there citizen, sort of watchdog citizen. And we don't really disagree at all, John, on your points and on my points as well. And I've got a whole bunch of them here that we don't need to go into tonight. But I think we do need to review our current plan, we need to revise it, and we need to draft some 21st century solutions to some of our problems. I've also asked my colleagues around the city and different positions, what's needed in the Main Street redevelopment area? What are really the obvious things that might be needed? And the first one is very interesting that I was watching television and CC and Hyatt Brown made their presentation on the park downtown, the Esplanade, the new $25 million private funded renovation of our park that will put it on the map like Tallahassee or Tampa with a first-class downtown park experience with all kinds of interactive things. And when Mrs. Brown was asked what 3 things is she most interested in, it was very fascinating. I've known CC for 40 years. And she said, my 3 things are maintenance, maintenance, and maintenance. And the whole city could learn from maintenance, maintenance, and maintenance. And I know what she's saying because we heard in here either our last meeting or 2 meetings ago that Breakers Park was a mess, it hadn't been cleaned, that while we clean Main Street, John, the existing pavers, before bike events or any event, we don't clean them right away after. So 2 weeks after the last bike event, because of Pinewood Cemetery, I was over there. I drove down the street and I saw oil all over the sidewalks, from leaking. I'd say 1,000 gallons of oil was out on Main Street. And there were tourists walking down the street, dodging, the sidewalks, and it gives such a negative view of our city. You might not like the pavers there, but when they're clean and they're shiny, they look. Yeah, they look. Yeah, you can just imagine what that's going to look like. So there are so many things that I think we could work together on for the benefit of the city. Also, parking and lighting in the Main Street area was on everybody's mind. And a woman at breakfast last week said to me, the city of Daytona Beach, the Beachside, I know it's safe, but it sure doesn't look safe. And I knew exactly what she meant. It doesn't look cared for, and people are very hesitant to park 2 blocks away from Main Street and walk down a street that doesn't have lighting or sidewalks, or the street itself hasn't been paved. I mean, these are small things, but they are very suggestive of some of the ideas that are floating around. I don't think we've done any re-landscaping in the Main Street redevelopment area for the last 10 years. Have any of you
Our
seen
flower
them?
pots look really good.
Pardon?
We have really nice flower pots. We
No.
really sincerely do.
Yes, yeah, the flowers that are put in, and I can remember when Ray Brand, the barber, used to go up and down the street fertilizing them himself
Well, whoever
with a
was
pot
doing a good job.
plant food. It's such an easy fix to dress the city up. I mean, but it has to be maintained, and we have to quit using the cheapest vegetation we can get our hands on, and we have to use much better landscaping if we're going to compete with other coastal cities, and we want tourists to come back. Code enforcement is, a big issue in our redevelopment area. It's a very big issue. We've got a crazy setup. Now, I don't know, Ken, if you were here before the Ocean Center was built, but that whole area was a city within a city. There must have been, 35 buildings, all frame, all between 1900 and 1925. Not that any of them rose to the level of being saved, but there was a huge residential population where the Ocean Center is now. And people in that area were used to being able to let a room or to take a garage and redo the garage. And code enforcement was a lot looser then, and we still have that sensitivity sort of hanging over in some of the residential areas that abut the Main Street and South Atlantic areas. I think code enforcement has improved tremendously. I know it's a huge job. I was a little nervous when the city was flirting with, and I think passed, the ability for homeowners to add a rental unit within their current square footage because of what it will do to the streetscape and the number of cars that are on every side street around our city. Our sidewalks, always need work, and I know we've done a lot of that. And this is not to diminish Reed's report, which is an amazing list of accomplishments, and it's not the first one. It's just that there's a huge job there. When our city applied for redevelopment status, I was around. I was the director of the museum then, and I was in DeLand when the presentation was made. And our city argued eloquently that we suffered from blight in the Main Street redevelopment area. And blight was gone into in great detail. And probably 3 out of the 5 general areas are still blighted. We still haven't gotten quite there yet. Now, we have I think, addressed two of them very, very dramatically, and I think there are more on the way. And I know, Reed, these things take an awful long time. I remember when Suzanne Kewen was sitting there, and we went through sort of a similar thing with the downtown area. And we're redoing the downtown area now to take opportunity at 21st century. I'm going to hurry up here and get us out of here. We've got a new park, potential park at the end of Main Street. This was a controversial purchase by our city commission. It was between $2 and $3 million. I can't remember the exact, I think it was $2.2 million. It's been fenced since it was purchased with a chain link fence. The only great thing about it is it gave us a beachside location to put a new main freshwater service line over to the beachside. But it's sitting there, and we do need additional park space in the redevelopment areas that we're in control of. We made a promise to the school system that we were going to take one of the play fields of an elementary school that's, I believe, in South Atlantic, and we did some added additional parking, and then nothing proceeded beyond that. And there are a lot of projects that we started that we just quite didn't have the oomph to finish, or the board changed, priorities change, personnel change, and things don't get done. Also, I think we have to really, because we have merchants in our area that are willing and have proven they're willing to buy into that area. And I think they need to be, I'm glad to see many of them sitting on this board. This is a new phenomenon to have business owners on this board at this number. And I think it's a great thing because, let's face it, business is, it's the blood that flows through the veins, and it gets pumped through the heart of a vibrant city. And I think our merchants will buy in to change. The safety issues are, their perception and their reality. And I'm very glad to see the police force. I think this young man who is representing the police doing an excellent job, and I know the police are too. I live right around the corner from the double murder that was next door to Ouija Kundig's house, just probably 300 yards from my house. And I can tell you that the police were excellent in response. They have done everything they can, but it raises an issue, a fact issue, and a perception issue, so that when people want to go to the Ocean Center or Peabody Auditorium and they don't feel quite safe about getting from their car to those buildings, that's a real problem for us, and it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to address those. And this board, with the tax increment finance, this board with the income, of course, we don't know, Ken, what the income is in the Main Street or South Atlantic redevelopment areas because we've never been shared the figures. And politely, very nicely, I was told it's really none of our business to know what the budget is. I was under the assumption that we were going to do programs and we were going to spend some of this money to do new wayfaring and to publicize the fact where some of the streets are National Register streets, to sort of dress up the city. Minor dollars, and 2 county programs are in existence to match that money dollar for dollar. But I was constantly confronted with less than 100% effort that is a priority of this board. And I'd like to see you look at it and decide for us or with us what our priority, what is the highest and the best use of this board? Because we're racehorses that are pulling a wagon, and that really should stop. And I will end there, and I apologize for taking much more than I should, but I had to get to share this with you, Ken, because I think this is our future, and I think we have a terrific future if we can take advantage of our opportunities and not, Aristotle said, nature hates a vacuum. And what's happened is, when you take away the authority of advisory boards, something fills that vacuum. And many times, the things don't get done. You don't have the spark plug. And we can't rely on the staff in charter government to make all the decisions. That's the difference between, as you know, Ken, between charter government and every other form of government we have in the state. And those areas that are the best in Florida are charter government areas. And I don't think we're using the charter to our best ability. And on that note, I will.
I make a comment about the public comments.
Sure.
Let me turn myself on. So with regard to the section of the agenda that's public comments, that is for the non-agenda items. So the purpose of that portion of public comments is for people to bring up items that are not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Now, we do throughout, when we have agenda items, they're allowed to speak towards those specific ones, but that purpose of that section B under other business is for non-agenda comments.
Yeah, and as long as they are germane and helpful and suggest the need for a solution and not an accusation, or, I think it's not necessarily the content, it's the way the message is delivered. I think I'm fine with that. And I have entertained in economic development, we would have 25 people who wanted to make some comment about how the city was operating with tax increment or our tax abatement policy, or we had a minority hiring policy we came up with, a very controversial, first one in the state of Florida. It lasted for about 3 years until we had a change of mayor. And so I know that. I understand that. I'm going to be as gracious as I can to everybody to talk about everything. But I think we're going to have some really important things for them to talk about. And I would very much enjoy the public's participation in this discussion, because we're appointed by the City Commission, and we'll do the very best that we can to represent our city. And public buy-in is important.
And can I recommend, Ken, when you have this meeting with Mr. Libby, don't have plans for the rest of the afternoon? Okay. And by the way, and I disagree with the blight thing designation, because obviously I fought the eminent domain battle and what have you, and one of the elements of blight is diversity of ownership, and so basically the communistic way is if there's more than one property owner on any property, that property is deemed blighted, which is not the American way. Sorry, but go ahead and adjourn.
Well, I didn't.
I'm just telling you. Obviously, that's
blight is a technical term.
Yeah, it's blight. It has the legal term. Blight could be if there's more than one property owner on any given block, that block could be deemed blighted. So that's not what you and I consider blight. That's a legal definition, and you only have to meet one element of blight in order to be blighted. And obviously, in the Main Street redevelopment area, the entire beach side from Seabreeze all the way to Silver Beach, from the beach all the way to the river is blighted. That's overkill, but.
Yeah, but I don't think the county. I
don't want to debate you, because I could be here forever.
No, that's okay. But I pulled this out of the county records, and there is a long list of items that have to be addressed if blight is granted for redevelopment purposes, not just diversity of ownership.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? A nice, lively discussion. Anything else? Anyone? Teresa? Here? No? Any comment?
There is going away cake for Reed in the commissioner room.
Pardon?
There is going away cake for Reed in the commissioner room.
Yeah, I'm a type 2 diabetic, so they get a big cake, probably ice cream cake too.
No, it's a homemade German chocolate cake.
Oh, that's different. I'll taste that. Okay, thank you very much. And John, are we okay?
He still loves you.
Okay, he still loves me. It's a love-hate relationship. It's 35 years long. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.